Hello, everybody, and welcome back to another episode of that show that will not be named. I'm your host, Brian, a 2-Game Prince, and today we're going to be talking about writing. Basically, what I wanted to go over here was how to get started writing. Because I write, I want to be a writer, I am a writer, what the hell am I talking about? And I just would like to share what at least I've experienced over the course of the last 5 years doing all this. So, first thing I wanted to start off with was just how do you get started writing in the first place? And the thing that I found is that there's just, you start. It's just a very simple way to jump into it. If you have an idea in your head, sit down and write. I mean, obviously there's other things that go into it, like knowing punctuation, grammar, all that jazz. But that can be self-taught. As I found, you could teach yourself all of that. Either along the way, or if you don't want to do what I did, where I just started writing and in the beginning, I knew fucking nothing about punctuation, grammar, so I had semicolons all over the place. Now, when I go back and look at my older work, if I try to revise it, I gotta get rid of all the terrible punctuation that doesn't belong there, because it looked like it belonged there at the time. But now I know what I'm doing. So don't do that. If you want to get into writing seriously, I suppose I would definitely suggest learning all you can about just basic writing, I would say sentence structure and things like that, but at the same time, I've read so many things and have written so many things that haven't followed certain traditional writing stuff. I don't know. I'm tired. It's not, I just woke up. Basically, I think Anne Rice said it best, is that when it comes to writing, you could literally do, within reason, almost anything you want. There is not a lot of limits. I mean, if you wanted to write a novel that is no dialogue, which is one of my missions, by the way, is to write a novel with no dialogue. It's just prose, an entirely prose novel. You could do that. If you want to be like, I think it was James Joyce, something Joyce, or Cormac McCarthy, and put no punctuation, I mean, aside from, commas and periods in your work, you can do that. That is your prerogative. You're allowed to. Writing, I find, is very, especially nowadays, it's very out there. It's insane, the amount of possibilities. I'm not going to get into publishing or any of that in any of these videos. I'm just going to focus more on just the aspect of writing. Things you'll need to do, things that might worry you, shit like that. So, once again, as you get down to just basically writing, if you've got a story in your head, the best thing to do is just sit down somewhere. Doesn't matter if it's on your phone, in a notebook, at your computer, you just sit down and start writing. And it just kicks off. Basically, the entire process, at least in my opinion, is probably the most basic form of creation possible. Other than, obviously, like drawing, because that's more visual. Whereas writing, I always notice people always said, like, oh, writing is hard, writing is this, writing is that. And I don't think it's that writing is hard. Writing is easy. Writing is fun. But the problem is if you're not interested in what you're writing, then you're not going to get anything out. If you're not invested in your story, you're not going to get anything out. Now, I'm not saying, oh, if you want to make, you're basically trying to write, what do you call it? you're trying to write the next Hunger Games or the next Twilight or stuff like that. So many people try to do that, and I think the reason they come off as and schlock and carbon copies is because they try too hard to mimic that style while not being original enough. Like, they try to input their own stuff. Well, that falls into, again, didn't even mention it once. That falls into fan fiction. Personally, I'm not a big fan of fan fiction. I think fan fiction is a little... Will I get crucified for saying this? I don't know. I just hate fan fiction. Not a fan of it. My whole thing is, if you're going to use someone else's characters, I think you should... I mean, unless the author is given full, complete, hey, here you go, here's my character, do whatever the fuck you want with it. I don't think it's very original, I guess. I don't fucking know. Unless the character's literally meant to be expanded upon by other people, I don't really think we should return to older characters, I think. I mean, unless the idea that you have for them is fucking so incredible, so amazing that you just can't hold it in. But then again, at the same time, it's not really my place to say what people should be writing. It's just a personal opinion. I don't like fan fiction. I think it's lazy. I think it's a waste of time. Unless you're using the character as like an outline, I guess. Like if you're going to write Sherlock Holmes, but you change some details. And then by the time you're done with the whole thing, you change all the parts that say Sherlock and Holmes to whatever your guys' name is. I suppose that's alright. I know, what's his name did that a lot. Howard, who wrote Conan the Barbarian. He would write, there was a bunch of stories that starred different people. There are different barbarians and different shit like that. And once Conan became popular, he started changing the names of, Romulus the Brave. So he would just go through the story. Every time you see Romulus, delete, and copy paste Conan. So, yeah, you could always do that. But basically, rounding back down to the basic point of it all, is that you can literally write whatever, whenever. It's your choice. Now, as for this myth of the tortured artist, or the tortured writer, great news. You don't have to be an alcoholic to be a writer. You don't have to have a drug addiction. You don't have to do anything. You can come from any walk of life. Doesn't matter who you are, what you believe in, where you're from. It's universal. That's what's so beautiful about it. So when you sit down to write, the most important thing I find is that you need to put yourself in a place in which you are completely comfortable. Me personally, I've often found that I'm at my best when I'm drunk. That's just me. I'm not saying this is going to work for you, so don't immediately go, itching for the wine bottle. But I find I work best when I'm drunk. Or, more proactively, after I go out for a walk. Basically, when the blood gets pumping. Because if I'm just sitting around doing nothing, I really can't write at all. I get very... blockages, writer's block. Which, I also write short stories at the same time, so I usually, personally, I don't suffer writer's block that much, mainly because when I'm going into a short story, I know exactly what I want to do with it. I know exactly, I think of the title, or I think of, a plot, and that's it. And it's done. I know exactly where it's going to go, where it's going to finish, and the hard part is just sitting down to type the whole thing out. That's the most tedious part. But, yeah, the main point is just being completely comfortable, wherever that is. You don't have to write in public. I can't tell you how many times, I got a Starbucks 5-minute walk from my house. And, you'll go in there and everyone's typing their grand American novel on their laptop while sipping chai and all that. Me personally, I prefer to be away from fucking everybody. I don't like being around anyone when I'm writing. I don't like anyone talking to me. Can't do that. Because then, completely breaks the immersion, breaks the story. Because at the end of the day, personally, I think what it comes down to is when you're writing a story and you're really invested in it, you're going to be sitting there and you're going to be saying, you're going to be in the head of the characters. Either you're going to be the narrator going, oh, Jim said this and Dom did that. Or you're going to, in the first person, you're going to be that character. Which is why in some ways I kind of think that writing might entail maybe like a small degree of, I don't know, acting or theater, but not any like sort of outward physical. It's all like internal. It's all mental. So you can do that. Secondly, like, today I'm just sitting down with, I have tea because I haven't had tea in a while. I had a margarita last night. I make a good margarita. That one margarita I was out. I was ready to go to sleep. But today it's just gonna be tea. I got some leftover gingerbread cookies that my grandmother made for Christmas. This is nice. I got my little platter, my little saucer here. I got tea and hypothetical biscuits. I got a whole British thing going on here this morning. But yeah, I'm ready to get started. So like I said, doesn't matter what time of day you write. Could be any time. I find towards the end of the day, I do better. Or I'm more encouraged to write at night. Because at night, everyone's asleep, everybody's gone. There's nothing to worry about. No one's going to barge in. No one's going to interrupt you. And like I said, that's just me. Some people are able to work around other people. They're able to write, no problem. Can't do that. I'm terrible at that. And, yeah. That's essentially the whole of it. I mean, I know these people go on, like, I know I go off on tangents, but, just going to be straight with you as I possibly can about this. And that's that this is a very, writing, if you're into it, if it's something you're really getting into, it's probably going to be one of the most fun things that you will ever do in your life. Because even if no fame or fortune or whatever the hell other shit you're seeking comes from it, at the end of the day, you're going to look at this piece of paper with these words on it, with this story or this detail, or whatever the hell you crafted. You're going to look at that and you're going to go, wow, I made that. And that's a very good feeling. I mean, it's an even better feeling to find your stuff published. But at the end of the day, it's yours. If you made it, it is yours. And that's something nobody can take away from you. And that will be yours forever. Till the day you die, and long after you're dead, that will be yours. I mean, unless someone finds it, stumbles upon it, and publishes it for themselves. But what are the chances of that happening, right? So, yeah. Me personally, as for stuff that you, like, write on, I like a good Mac. Now, hear me out here. I hate Mac for everything that doesn't include writing or doing, like, basic-ass graphic design. Other than that, other than those two things, Mac is butt cheeks. On the PC or Windows, whatever the fuck, Microsoft, all that jazz, I fucking hate writing on those computers. I hate drawing on those computers. This Mac, I'm telling you, one day, when I'm able to afford it, I'm going to have a Mac. And that's going to be all of the writing and all of the other shit. And then my Dell's going to be all the gaming stuff. And actually, that's pretty much the only reason I want a Windows or a Dell, whatever the fuck it's called. I don't know any computers outside of Mac. Grew up with Apple, stayed with Apple. I've only planned on switching over as of late because Apple just can't run fucking video games. So, fuck, I love Lipton. So anyways, like I said, as you go around, the more you get into your stories. I mean, I've been writing since 2011. So let's see, I'm shit at math, so that's 2011, 12, 13, 14, 10 years. I've been writing 10 years? Fuck. That's not professionally, mind you. Professionally, it's only been 4 or 5 years. Well, let's see, when did... First book I published in 2016, I believe. So that 2016, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21. Okay, yeah, 5 years. 5 years, I was around there. Well, but essentially the main reason I decided to start this was because gonna be making you know, trying to boot up the writing, trying to get this career jump started. Because you know what the problem is? I write all my shit and then I post it all over the place, never advertise it. Because I'm brain dead when it comes to advertising. And, yeah. I never get farther than that. So, I figured let's try and dive in cock first and see if we can finally get a brand started or something to that effect. And I guess we'll see what happens. Anyways, if you enjoy writing, you should go do it immediately after watching this video. Keep creating stories and keep enjoying the joys of literature, because it is fucking fun. The stuff you can do, the things you'll think of, the things that'll blow you away. It's good. It's really good. So, yeah, I think that's going to do it for this very broken, unprepared introduction. Thank you for sticking around if you have, and I will talk to all of yous later on.